Right on the set. Sammy, the real Kyper and Bourne show. We are live and in color. Also available on Sportsnet 590, Sportsnet 360, and Sportsnet Plus from 4 to 6. You can always download us if you don't get us live at any time during the day.
You show can.
Okay.
Hot start.
This is the real Kyper and Bourne show, predominantly in the first hour, Leaf edition, which will attempt
Oh, man.
for the first hour. Then we'll go national.
Yeah.
But between 4 and 6, how many different times are we going to have you look at your phone to get a Shohei update?
Give us an update. You know, there hasn't been any hockey or baseball talk on the
listen,
station. Let's have it.
There's a million different people saying a million different things. There's people reporting things. There's fake insiders saying things.
I heard some things.
It's just right now, if you want clicks on baseball internet, there isn't many better times at this moment than to say something about Shohei.
We are in the mothership of Sportsnet. If you were to tweet, just talk to someone and the eyeball emoji or something.
Or how about like an eyeball emoji and the Japan flag?
Yeah.
I would get 1,000 retweets right now.
You know,
People
like,
are
you
at
could
each
move the needle right now.
But it's apparently down to the Jays and the Los Angeles Dodgers.
So speaking,
Shohei apparently flew to Florida to go check out the player development complex. They're reporting on it. I don't know what to believe, Kyper. I'm having a hard time caring about the Leafs who don't play hockey. Like, I know it's Shohei Ohtani, and it seems like there's a real chance.
So speaking of the Rogers mothership here,
Yeah.
I don't know whether we're like 9 or 10 floors above someone saying okay to $600 million.
Oh, yeah, maybe more.
But if that does happen in the next 10 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, we're going to get booted out of
Oh,
here.
yeah, they're kicking us off the air for sure.
We're done. You know we're done.
What? Not hear from us for a week.
National Blue Jays voice, Sam McKee is a good enough for you guys?
We may take off for a week,
just move
maybe.
on.
I mean, I would need to go somewhere to get tickets, like everyone else in Toronto, were that to be the case.
So that is the best case scenario, is that we get booted out of here in the next 15 minutes for an official announcement.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The worst case scenario is news also breaks that he's going to L.A., and we have a grown man crying on our show.
And it also seems like the most likely outcome. Just because I'm afraid of being hurt, I don't want to be like...
I'm a very protectionist sports fan.
Yeah.
Mostly because of my history with sports and the teams
hurt
that
they cause.
Yeah. It's just, like outside of the 2019 Raptors, I haven't had a whole lot to cheer about in my life. And I've been snarky about this, and I've been like, there's just no way. And today and last night are the first time that I truly let myself believe in this, and it's a dangerous game.
It's a
dangerous game.
It's a metaphor for life. It's making you bare your vulnerable heart before they pierce it with a Dodgers tweet.
Yeah, it's just I really want this now, and I think I'm going to be heartbroken. It's going to suck, but you know.
Okay, can I just get your hopes up high for a little bit here, though, for a second?
Please.
Where would this rank in
number one
Canadian
Relax.
storylines? To me, I don't care about the $600 million. It doesn't run toe-to-toe with Gretzky getting traded to L.A.
I think this is in that conversation. How could it not be? This is a top 5 most famous guy on earth. This isn't like Edmonton traded him. They chose to get rid.
Yeah.
This is a guy that's choosing to sign in Canada. That's choosing to come here to play for the Jays, which is something that would be crazy.
I get the international scope of Shohei compared to Wayne
Twitter
Gretzky.
Following goes, or the Blue Jays Twitter following or Instagram following goes from the second all of Japan follows.
Yes.
You know, like this is the money. They would make that money back.
Yeah.
Over the time, no problem.
It won't. It'll pale in comparison to that emotional element, other than Sammy maybe.
Well, it's interesting
of a Canadian sports story.
You know, we had the Raptors win a championship. There's the Jays runs in 15-16. Obviously, your Leafs years. You know, you got Nick Taylor drains one to win the Canadian Open, all that, and you have it up with those.
No question.
Yeah,
no question.
I mean,
I think it's on like the excitement that your fan base would feel is like on a championship level to sign Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
I don't think that both looking at me like I'm crazy. I don't think it's crazy.
Yeah. Now,
there's just no promise it even goes well, right? Like he can come here and
you don't buy the fact that if LA leaked a tiny bit out, that Shohei's going to go, no, I'm going to Toronto now.
The Lou Lamoriello?
Loose lips over there. I'm going to Toronto.
No,
you don't really see that happening here, do you?
Listen, I've convinced myself of a lot of things over the last hour and a half that I don't really know what to believe or what to read into, but he was very clear in the early parts of this that leaks were not to be had. And then old Kenny Rosenthal last night, I thought he was supposed to be Johnny Tightlips, writing an article about how he was who's telling him that? It's just a really tense time for me.
I personally have a tough time with the idea that someone would have this hard of a time making a choice. Like, to me, it's like, okay, you either really value the money or you really value being in LA or whatever. Like, how do you not know?
Well, it's not like somebody can come up with an extra 20 to 40 million and that's going to be the difference here, right? You have to now
like you're making so much
lifestyle.
Where do you want to be?
And I don't know, is on one hand, if he goes to LA or a big market, is he one of many stars there? Does he worry about being too big of a star in Canada?
Sure. He'd be the guy. He has Canada.
There's nowhere he goes where he's not the biggest star, I don't think. Like, even with LeBron in LA, if he's playing for the Dodgers, he's right there with LeBron.
He's there.
Yeah, I agree.
With the Angels, no one cares.
Shohei Ohtani could walk into a lot of places and people would not know who he is.
I think
compared to LeBron James in North America?
Well, it's LeBron's got 12 years on him of pushing
for sure.
14 years of pushing a market.
And maybe Ohtani would get there for sure.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he was in Space Jam. Everyone saw that.
So he's the second most famous guy in LA immediately when he signs to the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Once he does
you're right. Yeah. That's a pretty big place.
Yeah, it's huge. I know he has to knock old Anze Kopitar off the ledge there, but he's
walk by the statue of Dustin Brown in front of the Staples Center.
I think once he does a Subway commercial with Barnes from the Raptors, he goes to another level.
Yeah, can't you see Ohtani in the new Osmos commercial? It's coming for him.
All right. It's not a baseball show.
Oh, we got to talk about that lease now?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, they practice.
Can we just talk about,
what a thrill.
The worst schedule ever.
God.
We had that big break before they went to Sweden, and now we've got another one. Okay, what is up with this schedule? Do they not know we have a show to do?
The good thing is that I assume the back end of the season we're going to be heavily loaded. But yeah, they don't play till Thursday night. Skated today. We did get some audio.
Thursday they play, Saturday, and then it goes Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday next week.
I like
so
that.
A back-to-back Monday. They play both New York teams. Rangers in the second half of back-to-back, which is
I'd call that a schedule loss.
We got a terrific show. We're going to have Luke Fox in a few minutes because we've run out of things to talk about with the Leafs. So we're going to invite Luke onto the show.
Yes. We have Sheldon on that schedule too, Kyper.
But we also have Hall of Famer Adam Oates in about 25 minutes. Want to get his thoughts on a ton of stuff, including 3-on-3, which is still a hot-button topic, I think. Fans booing when teams retrieve.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Let them know.
I really like that.
You know what is happening? We can talk about it with Luke.
Okay.
I do have a complaint.
And Mike Rupp, NHL Network analyst, will join us on our national hour here on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. But let's go back to the goofy schedule, and let's get head coach Sheldon Keefe's thoughts on him on our first Kyper's Clipper.
Different type of schedule we've had here for quite a while now. But you got to take advantage of it when you have it, right? In terms of, first of all, some rest and a chance to work on some things and build your game in practice. So, we're making the most of it. It's honest to really continue to stay on the guys and make sure our habits don't slip. There's a few instances out there today in the practice. You look like a team that hasn't played and is coming off a day off and all those kind of things. And that's sort of what you've got to combat is losing your game readiness.
Yeah. And I saw someone tweeting from their practice on Sunday after the Bruins game that was very upbeat. Team feeling pretty good after a loss to the Bruins. They had a day off coming on Monday. a little bit of rest, a little bit of practice time, not the worst thing to happen to you at this point of the schedule. So even though it's good for the Leafs, it's inconvenient for us, but it is a good thing.
Very inconvenient.
Yeah. As someone producing the show.
Yeah, well, I mean, 3 good guests today. And so Samsonov's been super sick. Apparently he was like down and out. You know, he didn't start. He wasn't the backup on Saturday night.
Right.
And they're trying to get him ramped up for Thursday or whatever. But Keefe gave updates on Samsonov, Liljegren, and Klingberg. Would you like to hear those?
I would love that.
Okay, let's hear those.
Maybe twice.
Okay.
Yeah, Sammy's he was feeling better today in order to get on the ice, but this illness has beat him up pretty good. So, wasn't gonna work through the whole day, but the hope is that we can just kind of build him up a day at a time here now. Liljegren's progressing really well. No timeline at this point that I've been made aware of, other than just continue to kind of ramp him up a day at a time, and he's had no setbacks and is feeling good and strong every day. And I have nothing for you on Klingberg here yet at this point.
So they're having some
How
long,
can you have nothing?
they're having some long meetings at
Hey.
Old Klinger.
I know. Is he okay?
The longer it goes, the more worried I am.
That he's going to play.
I
He's gonna play.
haven't met with the lawyers yet.
Yeah. We haven't decided
It's
who's
not- it's
paying
not
this guy,
medical,
us or
it's-
insurance.
Maybe Klingberg's down in Dunedin trying to get Ohtani to
Tell him what
try.
a great city. The media's awesome. I'm having a great time in Toronto.
I would worry about Klingberg coming back on the ice and not being well welcomed.
Yeah. Yeah, welcome back.
Because there's a lot of people, including our Sammy, that expect a new, fresh $4.1 million
But if you're
to come into the system.
I
if
hear
you're
ya.
gonna use his money, and maybe not one guy, you know, two $2 million guys, 1 3 and 1 1.
You got a lot of holes.
You got a lot of holes. Anyways, Luke's here.
Okay, let's welcome in Luke Fox, NHL writer for Sportsnet.ca and a good friend of the show, especially when, as I said earlier, we run out of things to talk about. So, go, Luke. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
I love messing with you.
I know there's a lull in the schedule when Sammy texts me because you're running out of quality A-list.
Oh,
guests
no.
today, so.
You always bring us great stuff here on the show. So, is there a thought that they could not come out of the gate great against Ottawa on Thursday night, or is this old hat from them from the downtime leading up to Sweden?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like Sheldon said, today's practice wasn't as sharp as he'd like, but let's be honest, he's a bit of a perfectionist, right? He sets a high bar. I don't think they should have any excuses. I mean, this is a team that could probably use the rest. An incredible 11 out of their 22 games have gone to overtime. Like the odd day off, the odd practice day, I think should benefit the team and not be a hindrance. I'd say they have no excuses. The only, kind of interesting thing is the fact that Ilya Samsonov tried to practice today. He actually had on his gear and was out on the ice for a few minutes. But then once the real practice got going, he bolted. And they said they got to work with him and build back his strength because this illness has given him a bit of a beating.
Jeez.
And you look back, I think it was November 24th since he last started. And part of that's just because Joseph Woll's been dialed in and taken the number 1 spot. But we all know that this league, you need 2 goalies going. And it's like, okay, if he doesn't start in Ottawa, it's going to be a long stretch here between games. And Sheldon said he's a little bit concerned the fact that it's not the game action. It's like he's not even getting much serious reps in practice at this point.
Yeah, and they sent Martin Jones back to the Marlies, did they not?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's they may be needing him again yet. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Can I
please.
stay on Samsonov for a
Yes.
second? Just in terms of now the patience that they're going to show with Samsonov, is there a scenario where if you look at the playoffs and yeah, I know, I get it. He got hit hard and didn't come back. And now he had a horrible camp, and now we're around Christmas, and there's just no real sense on him gaining traction again. Can you see this thing playing out where they just go with Sammy right to the very end and keep your fingers crossed on Wall here? There's a sense that he's still a good goalie, Luke, but the reliability meter is really low on Samsonov.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%, Nick. Like, first it was the mental struggles, and then it was, some shaky performances, and now it's the illness, which, it's going around. You can't fault him, and you don't want him to rush back if he's feeling sick, or be around the other players, even more importantly, if it's something contagious. This guy's a good goalie when he's on. And the other thing is, what are you going to do? Try and bury his salary, or try and trade him when he has no trade value at this point? But it is a question mark, because this guy was given the number one job from, the first night, opening night. This was his chance to run with it, but he stumbled, and the belief in the organization is so strong on Woll that I think they've been happy to give the lion's share of the duties to the young guy. But you step back and you look at Joseph Woll's track record, and he's never carried the load, especially at this level. Like, you still need a tandem. So I think it's important that they work with Samsonov at this stage, at least, and get him up and running.
Luke, the Leafs are built a very particular way, as you know well. Top heavy, and they need the top to be good, or it's just not going to work. We've seen that in playoffs. They've gotten cold at times. Starting the season, Matthews and Marner didn't look quite great. They didn't quite work together. I want to talk about Matthews a little bit and just get your thoughts on the difference between his game that we saw on Saturday and for the previous 7 games. The year before, we're going, is this guy hurt? What's happening? Like, I can't see what it is that's making him less effective on a game-to-game basis, but then he comes out in Boston, and he's just so overwhelming. What do you see in his game so far this season, which, frankly, has been a little bit inconsistent?
Yeah, I know it's been inconsistent. That's a great word for it. His highs have been incredibly high. You think of the hat trick games, and his lows have been pretty low. Like, coming into that Boston game, he had 1 goal in his past 9 games. And that morning, Sheldon Keefe did something that I can't recall him doing, at least not very often. And he publicly challenged him on what was a pretty softball question by the reporter. And he went in and said, it's not just the goals. His process needs to be better. He has to do the things that we ask of him to create chances. And it seems kind of easy from an outsider to say, hey, you're one of the best shooters in the world. You should have a shoot first mentality. But Keefe felt the need to have a one-on-one chat with him and say, we want you to shoot, because, you might not score on every shot, but what it does is it creates chaos. And we have guys that can gather rebounds, and it puts the defense on edge when you have a shoot first mentality. Now, the fact that his game has been inconsistent, I don't think it's one thing. I think there's a couple things at play. One, his running mate, Mitch Marner, had a stretch where he wasn't feeling it, and he admitted his confidence was low, and he was in his head a little bit, wasn't relaxed out there. And we see the difference between good Marner and not so good Marner. So I think part of it is that, and the other part of it is the left winger. I mean, I think Matthew Nyes has done an admirable job as a rookie, but maybe they missed some of the chemistry or that forechecking power that they had in that spot, whether it was Michael Bunting or years back with Zach Hyman. And then I also think there's a little bit of Matthews that is kind of, he would never say it, but he doesn't get up for a game against the Seattle Kraken the way he gets up for a game against the Boston Bruins. He knows the narrative around this team is nothing matters till the playoffs. I think when there's a big game, he gets fired up. So you add the fact that they had an interesting, compelling opponent to get up for. The coach called him out a little bit, and there was a bit of a wake-up call by removing Marner from him. And, he's probably gets fed up and says, okay, you want me to attack? I'll show you what attacking Matthews looks like. And I think what frustrates the fan base is maybe we see that a little bit too infrequently for a lot of people's liking during the regular season.
We're talking to Luke Fox, Leaf and NHL writer for Sportsnet.ca. Luke, John Tavares approaching 1,000 points, kind of coincides with playing a little over, I think, 1,000 games, 1,051. I thought he was kind of attacked a little bit on social media the other night, and it was uncalled for because I think he played a good portion of the last half of overtime against the Boston Bruins. But, it comes kind of as advertised, right? In terms of what he's been able to deliver. And, he's never claimed to be something that he's not.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's the thing is, we probably don't talk about him enough, and especially in a positive light, because we take him for granted, because he's like a metronome, right? He's the same guy all the time, in his interviews, in his practices, in his performances. Like, we were talking about how Austin and Mitch sometimes have these crazy highs and some quiet, noticeable lows. But Tavares has kind of been steady Eddie, and it really is phenomenal. Sheldon Keefe was talking to him a little bit about him today and his consistency. And it starts with his habits, his routine, and then it just translated into his game. It's just phenomenal the way that he's maintained his production. Like, his numbers this season as a Leaf aren't that far off from his first season as a Leaf. And that's really remarkable, because when he signed this deal, everyone was like, well, it's going to look horrible at the back end. And yeah, maybe he's not worth 11 million, but there's a lot of teams that would trade their second line center for John Tavares right now. I mean, for one, his faceoffs have actually improved. I think he might be at, or if he's not the top, he's very close to it. He's winning draws at like a 60% rate, still producing on the power play. He's just incredibly dependable. And it's kind of nice, when these milestones come along, because it gives you a reason to kind of open your eyes and wake up and appreciate what he's kind of just steadily done for so many years in his career. And it's funny, like, a couple guys tried to talk to him about it on the weekend, and he basically refuses to talk about it until he's there. He's like, well, guys who have done that, he positions it like that, as opposed to myself. He doesn't want any attention until he's actually hits the number. And I think he's only 5 points off.
Yeah, that's crazy. He's at 61.8% on the faceoff circle this year. That's wild.
Yeah.
So, Luke, you are down at the rink and around the team every single day. You are the best question asker in all the scrums. We always appreciate, when we get a Fox question.
We really like it when you piss them off, Luke.
Yeah, you ask real questions. It's great. I want to know if you see any difference in Sheldon Keefe this year. He's got a contract extension. He's not under Kyle Dubas. His tree living extension, different team. Do you feel like you're getting a different version of him this year than you've seen in previous seasons?
I would say we are a little bit,
Okay.
A variation of him when he meets with us behind closed doors. Who knows? I don't know how much of that has to do with the GM change, or how much of it has to do with, I think there is a genuine concern on his part that this team might not be as good as previous incarnations.
Yeah.
And that worries him. This guy, his work ethic is off the charts. I never question Sheldon Keefe's level of care or devotion. I think he's constantly studying tape, constantly looking at numbers, constantly trying to find ways to get the most out of his group. And I think in the early going here, and it's calmed today, certainly I think he was really happy with the Boston effort. But in the early going, I think he was concerned about the blue line. Did he have enough horses back there? About the bottom six, I think there's still some lingering concerns there for sure. And when he feels like that, he has a horrible poker face, and he lets slip how he really feels, whether it's in his tone or sometimes in his words.
We're
but
glad
often
he
it's when
does, by the way.
or the length of his answers. You can tell a lot by the length of his answers how good of a mood he's in. He's a fascinating guy, but I totally respect him as a hockey mind. I do have questions whether he's enough of a motivator to get this team over the hump. Like, I think he's a great coach, but sometimes I question whether he's the guy.
So let me ask you then, now that you mentioned that, yesterday we briefly had a discussion and we talked about his comments before Austin Matthews' 2 goals Saturday night. And we debated whether he was actually calling out Austin a little bit or where it could fit, like on a scale of 1 to 5. So what did you make out of his, I don't know, did he motivate Austin on Saturday?
Yeah, he may have. I mean, that looks like a great move by him. And if it goes the other way, if Austin has a poor game, then we're singing a different tune, right? Like, it's all results dependent. But no, you're right. He did something out of character. I thought it was a pretty gentle call out. He positioned it as Austin's a driver for our team, and we need him to be a driver if we want to win. And, right now he needs to do more to be a driver is kind of the message he was getting out. He didn't say like he's been horrible, he needs to step it up. Like relative to other markets, like Kuznetsov's getting benched. Rick Tocchet has no qualms about, benching JT Miller. Like compared to other markets, this is very gentle. But I did think there was a little poke there, and there was definitely a response.
Well, I haven't benched Sammy yet or JB on the show, but
because we both happily just sit here quietly. Am I off? I just got benched. My mic was on mute.
That's
Thanks.
like not being ready for a line change.
Too many. Let's talk about
JB.
that, shall we?
All right, Luke, really appreciate your time as always, man. Be
Okay,
ready for
anytime.
tomorrow, too.
Yeah, I'm going to Ottawa, so
We got
should be a
nothing
fun
to. All right, we'll catch you on the
Okay.
401.
Thanks, Luke.
one. Okay.
All right, Luke
Bye-bye.
Fox, writer, sportsnet.ca, does a terrific job.
Yes. Did you want to talk about the Too Many Men, or do you want to save that?
Let's
Wow,
let's
listen.
break and get to Oates.
Okay,
we
we
can talk
got
about it after.
OT, we
Yeah.
got
And
tomorrow.
that's it. We got Oates, and that's it.
All right, thanks to Luke, and we're gonna come back with Hall of Famer Adam Oates. Don't go away. Just warming up here on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. All right, let's welcome in former NHL great Hall of Famer Adam Oates, president of Oates Sports Group. Oatesy, how are you, pal? Thanks for coming. Listen, you are one busy guy, so we appreciate you making some time for us. So, where are you coming from? Where'd you just go? Like, what's going on in your life?
You know what? I was just at the Hall of Fame for the Hall of Fame game, which was a lot of fun. Great to see the old guys and welcoming the new people. And then back in Florida now, and like you guys, I watch a lot of hockey every day. Today was a long day of video for sure.
And when it comes to you working with, your some clients or guys that you talk to on a daily basis, where are you on the skill level in terms of what you see or what you haven't been able to see?
You know what? I would say the league goes through cycles. And when you watch every day, you watch NHL.com, you watch the goals, you're seeing you're looking for trends, you're looking for the same stuff that coaches are looking for, trying to find that little magic answer of something. And I do the same thing. I try and look at a particular goal, like what was the mistakes on that goal and what was the good plays on that particular goal, and then try and figure out a way to implement that into my video package for the guys or the drills we do in the off season. And you know what? I would say that generally the guys are all pretty highly skilled, right? And the nuances are tough. For example, just because I saw it today, Pittsburgh's power play. We're talking 4 Hall of Famers right there. And they're struggling on their power play. They haven't scored in 11 games.
It's amazing.
And Mario's sitting up top. Like that, you would think the common man would think that that's impossible, right? But there are certain details that have to happen to score a goal. Like they're not always fluky goals, right? And obviously they're going through a bit of a tough time right now. So honestly, on a daily basis, I'm looking for anything I can to find to help a player.
JB, give us your theory.
I think Malkin is a detriment to that power play. He takes these one-timers from distance. He unscreened. With the goal, he has time to get over. What do you see on that power play? What's going on?
Well, you don't know what they're told, number one. Number two, they brought in Erik Karlsson.
Yeah.
You don't know how Chris Letang felt about that. Maybe they brought him in because Letang's health was maybe a concern. I don't know all that stuff. You have Sid and Gino that are lefties. You got Karlsson and Letang that are righties. There has to be a chemistry formed. Who gets the puck? Who's technically the shooter? Who's the passer? You look at Tampa, for example. It goes through Kucherov, right? No matter what, and no matter what. So they've come up with a plan, and they're very good at executing that plan. I don't know. Some teams don't always have that luxury. Some teams don't always have that sort of guys that are willing to be sort of like a shooter, right? They want to be the passer, and vice versa. And we've all, Kyper, you know that you play with everybody, and not everybody's adaptable. Like Alex Ovechkin could not be Nick Backstrom. Nick Backstrom could not be Ovechkin. So sometimes you need to figure out what the chemistry is.
So it brings me to my theory when I first heard about Erik Karlsson going to San Jose. And we just had this conversation, Oatsy, the other day that I like alpha dogs in the room, but I also like them on the ice as well. And my first thought when I heard Karlsson was going to San Jose is like, who's the alpha dog on the blue line, Brent Burns or Karlsson here? Because last time I checked, that was Brent Burns' blue line in San Jose. And now Karlsson moves to Pittsburgh, and I asked the same question. Karlsson or Letang? Can you have both? How sure you just watched it fail miserably in San Jose? Didn't Kyle Dubas learn anything off of that?
Well, and the funny thing too is, if I'm Chris Letang, hey, wait a minute, I've been here for 15 years and won 2 cups with you guys too. So like, do I want to take a second fiddle or backseat to Erik Karlsson? I know he's a talented man, but am I not talented? And you know what? It's these are all the little subplots that happen at, from junior to college to pro level. You cannot have a quarterback controversy. You can't. And we're all good guys, but at the end of the day, we all want to succeed, right? And right now they're having a tough time, for me, finding the right chemistry.
It's ironic because I think it's an old trope from the NFL that if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have any quarterbacks. It's like you're supposed to have a guy. And so I can see that complicating things in Pittsburgh. I want to give people a sense for the work you do, Oatsy, in terms of, you said you watch a lot of video. Like, how has technology changed that? What is, how are you able to get through all this video? And then do you make a package and send it to your clients, or how does that work?
That's exactly what I do. I have a team of video guys. We have 5 guys. Okay. I train them what to look for, good and bad.
Yeah.
And then they send me the stuff. And what I do, I go through it and I'm looking for little morsels of information. And one of the things that I think is good is, like, I played, I coached, I know what everybody wants. Yeah. We want some form of success on this particular play right now. And the drills I designed in the summer are based on achieving that. Like for example, I was thinking of one, in case you guys asked, was like, okay, D, get a shot through from the point. Okay, sounds easy. How?
Right.
Like you're getting a pass from your partner, or you're getting a pass from the corner, right? Well, that's 2 different ways you have to catch a pass. You have to know where that guy that's coming out to block it is. You have to shoot around him. That takes technique, right? And you're worried about velocity. What were you doing to prepare for that before you got the puck, so you're in the right spot? So, like for one simple shot from the point, there's a lot of little skills that have to go into executing that, right? And we all see on a night-to-night basis, guys get the puck, they think about shooting, they throw it back down. Drives the forwards crazy. I just won a battle and gave you the puck and you're not shooting it. It's like, so why did I pass to you? And these are all but there's a lot of little skills that go into that, like everything we do. And honestly, we go about just trying to fix all of it. And, the guys I see in the summer, they come every so often, and it's usually like a 3-day window, and we try and incorporate, say, 8 skills into one session type thing. So that would be 24 subjects in 3 days.
Right.
We're talking to Adam Oates, former NHLer and president of Oates Sports Group. We're talking skill. The Toronto Maple Leafs, we know, have some of the best firepower in the world right now, Oatsy. And yet sometimes you watch that power play and you don't get the big goal when you need it most. It's failed them, unfortunately, for Leaf fans around playoff time. But is there a thought that maybe sometimes it could be too predictable as well when you got one main shooter like Austin Matthews and a guy like Morgan Riley, most often than not, who isn't a big-time shooter?
So if you go back to Tampa, like we talked about, it goes through Cooch, right? So I would say that he is really, really good at making his reads, whether it's passing to Braden Point in the slot, seeing a seam to Stamkos, or back to Victor Hedman. And you think about it, Victor Hedman is not a one-timer. If he was a one-timer, they'd be even better. But still, their power play is lethal. Mm-hmm. So I still think it comes down to who's the quarterback and make the reads. And what are the reads based on what the penalty killing is doing? For example, Montreal scored a power play goal last night from Cole Caulfield to Suzuki to Monahan. Great goal. So whoever they play next, that penalty killing coach is going to see that. So he's going to probably talk about that in their meeting. So in that game, the next game, Cole Caulfield and Suzuki have to sort of feel what that team's trying to do to prevent that and have an answer for that. And I would say that the best power plays have those answers. They're ready for that.
That's probably an under discussed topic, is just like, what happened last game and how our team's going to adapt before the other team shuts them down. That's a big part of coaching and figuring those sort of things out. So, you look at this Toronto Maple Leafs team. We talked about the skill at the top end of it, their power play, what they can do. What do you think a fourth line should look like in terms of skill? Are you okay in today's day and age with a Ryan Reeves? Do you need to have this sort of handsy players all the way through your lineup?
My answer is yes to everything. Where, like, do I like Ryan Reeves? Yeah.
Yeah.
What he brings? Yeah. Right? Now, do I want him to make one more pass once in a while? Yeah. Right?
Sure.
So why not? Right? Like, so if you have a big man who's physical, who can protect guys, it's very valuable. Very valuable. Obviously, in the playoffs, when it gets a little heated, it's even more valuable. But I also think every guy needs to work on his game and get a little better, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be replaced. Yeah. Right? And we need, like, if you don't get a goal or an assist for 25 games, I can't keep playing you. Right? Because sooner or later something happens, right? But in terms of what do you want? I mean, what if you're a fourth liner and you're not Ryan Reeves? What are you? Well, now you're an energy guy. So you're a fast energy guy. Okay, dog on a bone. Okay, so that's what you are. Then you got to be a dog on the bone on the forecheck. You got to stop the puck. And I have guys like this, and one of the things I tell them is you can't fall down.
Really?
You're not Tom Wilson. You're not Ryan Reeves. You are an energy guy. So you're going to put pressure on that D on the forecheck. Okay, so you got to stop the puck. And yeah, your coaches want you to be a little physical, but what you can't do is fall down. So you got to go as hard as you can without falling. You fall down, you can't make a pass or shoot a puck. And sooner or later, they won't like that. So you're not a tough guy, but you're on the fourth line. So you have to figure out a way to build your leash, right? You need some form of success that the coach likes you and keeps playing you. And obviously, you're trying to get to the third line.
That's Gregor.
Oates, sometimes we hear that catchphrase, prone to mistakes. Zadorov, no question, a lot of teams interested in a big guy that can move around, and he does it fairly well at 15 minutes. But who isn't really prone to mistakes, and how can you teach when you go individually with someone to tone down those mistakes? Can you, or is it just unrealistic and say the majority of us are prone to mistakes? That's what the game's all about.
You know what? Honestly, do I think you can fix that? Yes, I do, for sure. The guys, and that's why generally I wait for guys to call me. I don't call them, because I want them interested in listening. So the first thing I'll tell you, which I know Kyper, is your stick. Hey man, maybe you need to change your curve. If you're whiffing the puck, why? If you're the guy that's whiffing the puck, don't you know you whiff the puck? Well, then why? So let's work on your curve so you don't whiff the puck, right? You got to get the puck out. You're a penalty killer. You got to clear it. You don't get two chances. You get one chance. You get two chances and they score, you get replaced. So, it's called pro. You're a pro. So a guy like Zadorov, you're right. He moves pretty good. Obviously a big man, right? So they want to put him on the ice. If he doesn't have enough success, sooner or later, they won't put him on the ice.
Yeah, simple as that with some of those guys. It's a tough role to find, so, we're always keeping it on the Leafs here a little bit. And one guy this season who struggled to put up numbers he has early in his career, Max Domi, scored his first goal of the season the other day. He's a third line guy that, is a skill guy. And so trying to find, sort of that niche you're talking about and fitting in, what is it you want to see from a guy like Max Domi that he can bring, who is a talented player, but isn't necessarily a top six guy on this team?
Yeah. So first of all, that makes it very difficult, because if you consider yourself a top six guy and you're not, you're fighting your anxiety to begin with, right? And obviously you come to Toronto where Dad played. That makes it hard, right? You got to get over that tough market. You're not on the first PP, which gets the lion's share of the ice time. So it's hard. But then you have to look at your own game and what are you doing well? What are you not doing well? And you try and make one more play. can you make one more play? Can you win one more battle? Can you pass a puck a little bit better? Like at the end of the day, you have to look at your body of work and what can you do to improve it so that your coach plays you.
A sore spot around this part of town in Toronto is too many men on the ice. And it's something that's plagued, I think, Sheldon and his teams the last few years. Is that something you would address with some of your players that you work with, or is that strictly a coach and his team? Like, are there some things that you can share that can help avoid someone getting caught in that net?
Well, you're going to laugh. When I coached Washington, we got too many men a few times. And I called Ovi and Backy in and I said, do I really have to have a meeting about this? And the answer was, yeah, because you're going to laugh, but some guys don't jump over the boards correctly.
Oh,
like
I don't doubt it for a second.
Like,
where's their
so
stick?
Let's say I'm taking you. Okay, I got Kyper. Here comes Kyper, and I'm a guy that doesn't like just jump over it while still looking. So I take my eyes off you to look, and you change your mind. Whose fault is that?
Yeah.
It's the guy going on the ice.
Yeah, that's right. The guy that took his eyes off of him.
Yes, it's him all the time. So I had to have a meeting, honest to God, I swear to God, about how to jump over the boards in the NHL.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Because some guys, it is fascinating. Like people, the one thing I always joke about with the guys is some of the stuff that we work on, if people actually watched us, they'd laugh. So like first drill every session, poke checking. You watch goals in our league and you watch how many guys miss a poke check. It'll make you sick.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Like I do that.
Guys overextending, Oatsy? Just going too committed?
Or whiffing. Missing it.
Wow.
So what I do, first drill, I scatter pucks in the neutral zone. And I say, you got to alternate, forehand, backhand, poke check them. You won't believe how many guys miss. It's unbelievable how many goals are missed because somebody didn't stab a puck or somebody stabbed it fantastic and got something good out of it.
Mm-hmm. So that kind of goes to like first touches for D-men on retrievals, right? Like Justin Hall took a hard time here in Toronto. He used to get pasted all the time, but he used to poke it somewhere useful. I mean, that's a valued skill, isn't it? It's like soccer. They always talk about first touch. Not as discussed in hockey.
Like a defenseman going back for the puck is the hardest play in hockey by a mile.
Yeah, agreed.
You're being chased. The puck could be bouncing. It might be against the boards. It might not. You got to have an angle. Is the goalie in your way? Are you going to reverse it? Are you going to strong side it? And you have to collect that puck. And you know what? That's a very hard skill, collecting the puck.
Taking a hit to make a play is hard these days.
Yeah.
I don't even think some guys at the NHL really know or understand how to do that or what it means over the course of a game.
We work on battling, and I would say two reasons, Kyper. Number one, nowadays kids play hockey for 8 years without contact.
It's a long time.
That's 8 years. That's 8 years of learning habits, right?
Yeah.
And you and I played in a more violent time. We did.
Thank God.
So we got slashed. We got cross-checked. So we learned how to play close to guys. I love seeing guys close to guys. Unfortunately, you gotta get bumped, boys. You gotta battle that D net front. You gotta learn how. You have to.
So one question for me, my last one here on these skills, and I think it's relating to poke checking a little bit, but I think part of the problem with Matthews and Marner this season, they didn't have a lot of success in the early part of the season together. I shouldn't say the early part, but for a run of games. They don't really have a forechecker like they did when Hyman was there or even when Bunting was there. How does F1 stop the breakout? How do you be the first guy in? How do you stop that other team from executing their breakout as the first guy in?
You know what? It's a sore subject with me as well because I realize some guys are regarded as physical. So if you get a hit, but that D plays the puck,
useless.
Hey man, you're going to be back checking. Now, I also understand that if it's early in the game, we're trying to set the tone. So maybe in the third period, that D, because you've been hitting him, he won't be playing the puck as good. I get that too. But the point is, if you're F1, can you do a combination of stopping the puck and bumping the guy? And obviously now the rules where you can't ram a guy from behind, but it makes even more sense why you got to try and stop the puck. If you can stop the other team and stop their speed, we can get all 5 guys in the zone. You get all 5 guys in the zone, good things can happen.
One more for me, and it goes right into maximizing your skill potential when you're on the ice, and it's a pet peeve of mine, is length of shifts. Do you have these conversations with your guys?
100%.
And what do you share with them to maximize their potential?
It depends on which guy and what his leash is, and how the game's going along, and like even to the point where I don't think you're working hard enough tonight. That's why you can stay on too long. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm very honest with the guy, where like if you're not working hard enough, therefore you can stay on longer than your line mates, you put the coach in a tough spot. You know, you're not following up fast enough. That takes more effort. One of the hardest things for me when I played was, especially as I got older, if I'm F1 in the forecheck, but I see that D's got the puck, I don't want to waste the energy.
Yeah.
Right? You have to. You have to. You got to put pressure on that guy. It's your turn.
Yeah.
You got to burn the energy, even though you think he's going to pass it by you. That's your job. You know, so do I have those talks all the time, Kyper, actually?
Yeah. Oates, fascinating stuff, man. Always learn something new with you. Thanks for doing this.
Guys, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Oates. Appreciate it.
Adam Oates, former NHLer, NHL legend, great Hall of Famer, and president of Oates Sports Group. He does a terrific job working with individuals, maximizing their performance.
I love that. You know, I love the idea that you get the best players on earth into a league, and then you have someone watch them play and go, you can't poke check a puck? You know, because it's real, right? When you watch a lot of video and you go, God, I've watched 10 forechecks in a row, and you keep running into the guy, but they break it out every time. Where's your stick?
Yeah.
You know, I will say Ryan Reeves is the guy that often carrying his stick like a flag into battle on the skate in. It's like down on the ice, stick on puck, lead with that.
Love this story about having an NHL practice on how to get on the ice.
Yeah.
During play.
Remember having a coach, a skills coach, talking about sitting on the bench with your blade up when it's your team. So when you're over the boards, you're immediately blade down instead of having to like grab the butt end and pull it like this like quarter-second different swing. You know, these guys think about these little details. And
so you're sitting there with your stick with the blade up, so that when as soon as you jump over it,
now you got to slide it.
Yeah,
it's good,
right?
Yeah, I mean it's a quarter-second on you jump on the ice, you're able to play the puck.
I'm not sure it's going to make a difference at old Canlin, but that's interesting.
The zags can use a little help sometimes.
Are you guys changing in the door, out the door?
No,
Or are you going?
Yeah, no. Sometimes
it's shifting to the middle of the bench, and the guys coming on jump over while the guy off the ice or coming on off the ice comes through the gate.
Yeah.
Lots of texts in the text line about that interview. People love the Oatesy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a lot of great insights.
Oh, I've done many nights with him on Hockey Night in Canada, and sometimes I'm just like the audience right beside him.
I know.
Going, tell me more, Oatesy. Tell me more.
Sometimes in this job, find yourself when you're talking to someone interesting, being like listening to him, being like, "Oh, I'm the guy who has to ask the next question." You're just like wrapped.
Yeah.
Okay. Our thanks to Adam Oates in that first hour. Shohei update. Sammy, is he coming to the Jays?
Nothing yet, buddy.
Nothing yet. Okay, we still got an hour to go here on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. We go national next. Great topics of discussion, including the Arizona Coyotes.
We have
hottest team. Yes, we do.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Coyotes
hottest
talk.
team
Stay
in the
tuned.
National Hockey League. Tampa Bay.
Hey, we lit a fire, boys.
Oh, we had them dead and buried.
Yeah, we lit
and
a
now
fire.
they're back to life with a big shutout win.
talk.
Vasilevsky. And an update on the Ottawa Senators and Thomas Chabot.
Okay, let's have it.
You're going to have to wait for that one. That and more. Don't go away. Real Kyper and Bourne. As always, this hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee for the next hour. Going to welcome in Mike Rupp in a few minutes. NHL Network analyst, former NHLer, of course, Stanley Cup champion. We'll highlight the Metro Division, including other key stories. And we've got a ton of them out there, including Markstrom in Calgary, out weeks with a broken finger, happened in practice. Nothing sucks worse than getting hurt in practice.
So yeah, you just shouldn't practice hard. That's the secret. Hey, does Rupp have insight on Shohei Ohtani? Or?
We are still on the Shohei watch by
So-
Sammy McKee.
This is getting like crazy stupid now. So
Okay.
can I just break down that
Yes, do it.
from the very start of this process with Shohei? A very big thing with him was that there was no leaks in the process. He didn't want anybody to leak any information.
Which
Okay.
has been
Really good. Pretty
really good.
Until last night, Kenny Rosenthal, you're killing us, buddy. You're saying that he was at the complex. I'm like, just save it. Anyway.
You gotta be realistic
I know,
here. Shohei
I
and his group have
know.
to be realistic.
I know.
It's not like there's nobody in Florida that can possibly identify him.
Listen,
Airports,
I know.
grocery stores.
I'm just saying, I would have preferred that report not to come out. Right. But anyways, today, Dave Roberts was doing his, like, I guess, State of the Union, who was the manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers, one of the other key players for Shohei Ohtani. And he said that they had a great meeting with Shohei Ohtani. And he thinks it went really well, which,
Those aren't state secrets.
they're supposed to be. And then they asked the Dodgers general manager mere moments ago what he thought of this so-called meeting, and he declined to comment, saying, I'm not going to talk about a free agent like that.
Which he shouldn't, because he is directly involved
But the
in the negotiations.
Dave Roberts should not be mentioning this.
No,
so,
he shouldn't.
So what I'm
But
saying is,
he doesn't know what's going
what
on.
I'm saying is, Dave Roberts, first reported by me, cost his team a chance at Shohei.
Okay, JB, ask him the
Yeah.
question that you asked him during break.
I got
Okay.
this texted.
Yeah.
I showed up my
Lead us
boy.
in.
Showed up my boy Jamie Kelly, good
Yeah.
friend of mine. He texted me during our show, tisk tisk, if I would rather have Shohei Ohtani as a J or Connor McDavid as a Leaf, and I declined to answer because I actually don't know the answer. I think it's McDavid, but Ohtani's a different animal. There's no other baseball player that I would say the baseball player, but Ohtani maybe.
Sorry, as you were talking, I read the tweet that Dodgers GM Gomez says they aren't going to acknowledge, they aren't going to comment on Ohtani. Acknowledge Dave made a comment, asked if that hurt their pursuit. I have no idea.
How can you be so close on that answer when you can answer this in a split second?
What?
What would you rather have, a World Series championship or a Stanley Cup
Yeah, you're right. It's
championship in
McDavid.
Toronto?
It's McDavid.
David in Toronto,
Or Canada,
over
for that
Ohtani
matter.
the Blue Jays.
No, it's McDavid.
Ohtani for the Blue Jays is a national celebration.
No, international. It's
International. But
worldwide.
Vancouver cares. Calgary
Well,
cares.
all those illustrious Stanley Cups that Connor McDavid has carried the Oilers to, how could I fight with those? And that sparkling record they have so far this season, how could I quibble with that?
This guy.
So
I love it. That's
by
great.
chance anything goes down,
Yeah.
we're going to be kicked out of this studio
Yeah, they're
in
going to
mere
literally send
seconds.
us home
Is
if
that
that happens. I just feel it's really hard to believe, is it not, that Shohei Ohtani, Babe Ruth, prime era here would come
there's
to Toronto?
the
over
only thing that I
Dodgers?
question now more than ever in my 57 years of wisdom
Yeah.
being on this planet is that there's a lot of manipulation going on constantly in this world. Have you noticed the last few years?
Yes, I have.
And
Manipulation, come on.
media can get played. A lot of people can get played.
I'm getting played
Show-
like a fiddle
Show-
here.
But
listen,
you have
to justify $600 million, you need players at the poker table,
you need to show that you have options.
and that keeps it. It keeps the fire burning.
If the Jays,
The Jays are one of the biggest markets in the world, right? As
And-
far as revenue is concerned.
and don't kid yourself, they're like, it's not like they're just some crappy team looking to sign them. They have stars here. They've been relevant for a long time.
Playoffs 3 the last 4 years.
Anyways,
Like, it's not like Los Angeles Angels can sell him around the United States like the Jays could sell Shohei here in Canada.
Oh, yeah, he's immediately.
it's
I
a
love.
different
I think it was our
ballgame.
boy the Zoobs who said that he was here for the Raptors championship parade that day. So he's seen the city celebrate before.
He hit a 3-run home run off of Edwin Jackson.
But the
that
idea
game.
now is Jays fans have opened their hearts and let themselves believe, so the pain is going to be felt if it doesn't happen. We are at the point where it's not like a pipe dream. It's going to hurt if it doesn't happen.
Okay, we're going to be joined by Mike Rupp, hopefully momentarily. One of the questions I'm going to ask him is, and we touched on this with Adam Oates in the first hour, is, JV, what the heck is going on with the Pittsburgh Penguins? Because you tell me they're way better than this.
I do.
And
I say it all the
we
time.
are talking about one of the worst power plays in the National Hockey League with top 100 players of all time.
So I didn't want to step on Adam Oates. If you haven't listened to the Oates interview, worth it, I think. Go back and listen to that from the first hour. But I didn't want to step on him talking about the Penguins' power play. But I've watched the Penguins quite a bit recently and watched their power play. And it is like playing basketball with a chucker who you pass the ball around and then that one guy gets it and he just heaves it. That's Malkin. He shoots it from everywhere. He shoots it from distance with no traffic. He shoots it with guys in his lane. He thinks he's prime Ovechkin. To me, it's just like the puck is dying on his stick. I would like to see Crosby get more touches. They tend to have him like he's down by the net and he might tip one home. He's Tavares, right? If the puck goes down there. I don't know. Oates didn't mention that, but that's what it looks like to me. You guys had mentioned Carlson taking over for Letang and these guys trying to find that chemistry with a new quarterback of sorts. But yeah, it's baffling to have that much talent and struggle as much as they have.
Their power play kind of, to use another crossroads sports reference here, reminds me of watching the LA Clippers this year. It's like they have all these guys. Well, no, it's like all these guys that want the ball at all times.
Yeah.
There's only one ball. There's only one puck. It's just like Carlson wants to hammer it. Malkin wants to hammer it. Sid wants to work off the half boards. It's just like all these different types of things that aren't necessarily meshing together.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is there enough puck?
Did you catch the overtime goal by Sean Couturier? Because it was off of an offensive face-off with Crosby, Sidney Crosby, and Gensel, and they both chased the same player in the corner, and it was like a 200-foot 2-on-1.
This is why I enjoy 3-on-3, despite all of your complaints about it. Is one mistake, and it's like, all right, we're going. We got some chances here.
Yeah.
I got so many tweets today. It wasn't just Tavares that makes mistakes and all. I'm like, we were on Tavares' side.
Yeah.
Like, stop tweeting me.
Yeah. Stop tweeting me.
Yeah. Unless it's the Shohei rumor.
Yes, we are here for any and all of that.
Yeah.
Also mentioned earlier, Arizona Coyotes. I told you guys earlier in the week we're going to have to talk about them. And Sammy said, no, we'll talk about Shohei for 20 minutes.
Where I don't know if I can find this tweet, but they have beat 5-game winning streak for the Arizona Coyotes. They have beat the last 6 Stanley Cup champions. And I know because Tampa Bay has won 2 in a row. So it's, what's that? St. Louis, Tampa. Anyway, we got Rupp.
That is hard to wrap your mind around.
I can't believe you would get to play them in a row. But anyway.
All right, let's, as promised, Mike Rupp, NHL Network analyst, former NHLer, Stanley Cup champion, and a guy that I think picked Arizona to win the Cup.
He did,
based
for
off
sure. Guarantee it.
Based off the last 5 wins. In all seriousness, Rupper, how are you, pal? Thanks for joining us. And do we give Arizona more love now? Are we ready for it?
I think, hey, listen, I'll be the first one to say when I call something right. I might not be the first one to say when I call it wrong. I did have this team making the playoffs this year.
You did.
Yeah, I did. There's some tape out there somewhere, but it's a long ways for that. But hey, you know what? They play hard. I think that they've done it the right way there. They've created a culture. There's an expectation. I mean, they play the game hard, and you're going to know when you play against them. And I think that is something that is when you're trying to kind of turn around an organization and get some staying power, kind of that expectation and the whatever. Geez, we always use identity, all those different things. They've got it, and I think that's the first thing that you need to get, and it's hard to get. And the Oates right now, man, they've been a nice little run.
One guy I underestimated, and it's my bad, Clayton Keller. This guy competes, and he is a gamer.
He is. You know, and here's the thing, too, with Clayton Keller. I talked to Bill Armstrong. It was probably last season. You remember, I mean, that's let's not forget that injury he came off of, right? Like, that's a devastating injury. And I'll be the first one to say it, or admit it, I should say. Clayton Keller, I thought, was a highly skilled, very light player on the ice. I thought if you allowed him to play a certain way, he can beat you. If you leaned on him, made things difficult for him, that he wouldn't really be able to do much about it. I'm dead wrong on him. And Bill Armstrong, I remember I asked him about kind of the rehab and what he went through and the day-to-day. And he flat out told me, like, he was in the gym, he was putting work in. He goes, I've never seen before. And I think that we can learn a lot. And we always say that you can learn a lot about your team through adversity or individually going through that adversity. But I mean, the way he attacked his rehab, the way his season went last year, what was he, 80? It's high 80 points, I think, last year. And what he's doing right now, I mean, he's figured out that next level, and he's a gamer. And I don't use that word lightly. I don't think you do. You do either, Kyper, and he's got that. And so that's a great leader to have on that team.
Rupper, we want to take you on a tour of the Metro Division a little bit, and I want to talk about those Penguins. I mean, kind of a baffling group. We talked about their power play struggling. They're 6th in the division right now, but they're a +10 goal differential. I keep waiting for them to turn it around, but kind of tough to know what to make of this team right now.
Yeah, so man, it's tough, and we're at that stage of the season right now where whatever you're getting up in that 23, 24 game range, depending on what team you're talking about. And I think that gives us starts to give us a gauge now, like from here to 50. I think we'll start seeing some separation. We'll start seeing what teams really are. This Penguins team is one where, if you remember earlier on in the year, I think there was a point, and where they were 3-6, and at the same time, I think that Vancouver was 6-2-1, and I felt very strongly that the Penguins had played a better brand of hockey and were 3-6 than Vancouver at 6-2-1. And a lot of people didn't like that. But, Vancouver's done a heck of a job of getting points, man. They're finding ways, and the individual performances that they've had, they've been really good. And then the Penguins went on, that was like during a 5-game losing streak. And then they went on a 5-game winning streak. And during that 5-game winning streak, they weren't necessarily, for me, playing as good as they were in the 5-game losing streak.
Sure.
And that just shows how difficult it is to win in this league, and how just that margin for between winning and losing is so thin. I don't know what to make of them. I will say, with a lot of things that have not gone their way, they're still in the thick of it. They've had some good things through this process that we've seen. Sidney Crosby's at the top of his game. They've got, I think, the best 5-on-5 line in all of hockey. In that top line with Gensel, Crosby, and Rust. Their goaltending is solid. Tristan Jarry's found his game. Nedeljkovic has been fantastic. They're starting to answer the big questions in their bottom six. They're just not healthy right now in that bottom six. So, I think the next 20 games are going to really tell us a lot. But same thing. I've got questions, and those will probably be answered here in the next few weeks.
Another team in the Metro, and kind of goes hand in hand with Pittsburgh, is that two teams that have run it for a very long time, and you kind of expected maybe one or two to kind of show their wear and tear. It's the Washington Capitals that are showing it a lot more than Pittsburgh, despite what the standings say at 12-8, and they've done it with good defense and some great goaltending by Lindgren, but man, that loss at 6-0 to the Coyotes last night, and I think more so of a telling story there is Ovechkin on pace for 19 goals. Rupper, like, what do you make of Ovi? What do you see, and is the Gretzky record in jeopardy of not happening?
I don't think it's in jeopardy of not happening. It's probably not at the pace that we thought it would. You might have to tack on another season. The way it's kind of going right now, right? Like, what was the magic number? Like, we thought possibly next, give or take, next late February, early March was going to be the time, and it doesn't look like that's going to necessarily be the case with how this season's going. But I mean, I don't know. I've always thought too, like, for this Caps team, for them to have the record they have right now, it's kind of impressive considering what they're going through with Obi,
right?
And the fact that how long it took Oshie to kind of get on the board and start getting some points. Kuzi's his game's not there. I mean, for you to have that record, I think that I don't know. Again, that's another team we're still trying to learn about and see what's real with them. But for them to be in the hunt with all those things that have gone sour for them, the power play's been gross. Those are positive things. I would think that Obi will get going at some point. Probably not the pace that we're used to seeing from him, but hey, listen, he's gonna beat that goal record. I think we haven't seen many moments like this or seasons like this from Obi, but we've seen far more of him getting going and kind of turning that that thought process around how he's playing. I expect him to do that.
So, going around the Metro a little bit, if I go through the division outside of Columbus, it feels like every team has a chance to be a playoff team, like 7 other teams. The Rangers, the cream of the crop right now, they got an 8-point lead on second. They're plus 20. They're really humming. Do they seem like legitimate cup contenders? Is there somewhere they need to add to put themselves in the category of maybe the Bostons or Colorados, the other top dogs?
Yeah, you know what? I certainly consider them a contender. I think the big questions coming into this year were the same questions it's been is what are you going to get from Lafreniere and Kakko? Obviously, Kakko had that nasty injury, but Laf has been great. He's worked really well with Panarin. Panarin's been, for me, at this point in the season, he's the MVP. What he's done has been incredible, and I find that under Peter Laviolette, they're winning in different ways now than the past. The past, it was either a great goalie performance or their power play would lead them over the hump. But I find this team is, they're not lights out defensively. They still give up some stuff, but it's just one of those teams where you just turn the dials a little bit and get a little bit better defensively. Now they're setting themselves up to have opportunities to win every night. And Vinny Trocheck's been awesome too. All this being said, Mika, who's one of their hottest players when he gets going, and Chris Kreider, I think there's another level to those guys' game. And so, yeah, there's not really much that's missing with this group. I think it was all about development internally. And now it's a matter of just getting this team back to being healthy. But with the goaltending, Jonathan Quick's been fantastic as a backup. I love their D-core. I think this team is as good as it gets in the Eastern Conference right now.
Rupper's New Jersey in a little trouble here with Dougie Hamilton out and having surgery for a torn pec.
Yeah, they are. This is, again, a team that we saw so much from last year and saw them take that next step. And then there's that pressures of those expectations this year that haven't really been answered. I think the big thing that a lot of people are circling is the goaltending doesn't look the same as it was last year, but at the same rate, their goaltenders are seeing some things this year that they didn't have to see last year. And I think that's big, right? So, they're a team that's got a ton of star power. They got weapons galore. They just haven't found their groove yet. And again, like I said at the top of this, we're getting in that I think that through the first 20, 25 games, everyone's kind of like getting settled. This next stretch is going to tell us a lot. You just need to be in the mix right now. You got to be in striking distance right now. And they are, and they're not out of it by any stretch, but they certainly got to play much better because this doesn't look like the team that we saw last season.
So you've been doing this analysis thing for a bit here. It seems like because of the salary cap, no one is that great. Like no one is really able to pull away. I know next year, did they announce today the cap's going up to, I think, 87.7. Like you can suddenly spend some money, keep some players, but it does feel like there's not a ton of separation between, I don't know, 3rd and 23rd, is there?
Yeah. No, it's a great point. And, it's funny. I was looking at it today, and it's like you go over a lot of the teams in the league this year, and they've all had stretches, right? For the most part. I mean, there's a few outliers here. I mean, Boston, for the most part, has looked pretty darn solid throughout. I'd even say Vegas with that hot start to the season. I think you ask anybody in Vegas there, they weren't really playing a great brand of hockey. They were finding ways to get points.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you could look across. I mean, Colorado, they don't look like world beaters right now. Got teams that I thought was going to be some of the top teams. Toronto doesn't look like world beaters right now. You can go on and on. Every team's kind of dealing with it. Carolina Hurricanes, who is just every year is a team that I think is going to be a complete contender. They're dealing with it. So yeah, I mean, there's some good storylines. Seems like every year that we go at this here, it looks like there's more and more teams in the hunt. And I don't know. I think this year's going to be like that in a lot of different ways, because you've got a lot of teams. Put it this way: for some of the teams that have struggled in this league thus far, example, the Edmonton Oilers to start the season, I'm not sure there's enough teams, let's just keep it in the Western Conference, that have taken advantage of them struggling. And they've left that door open for this big comeback. And from the Oilers standpoint, to get into the playoffs. When a good team is down, you've got to make sure you take advantage. And I think because of the parity of this league, it's hard to do that.
It's really hard trying to figure out the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm down in Tampa right now at the hotel. I'm calling these games here. I had last week started in Nashville, and then we had the Tampa game, the big goalie goal game. And I was calling that game for the Penguins. And that first period in Tampa last week was one of the more lopsided first periods I've ever seen, like in quite some time. It was 2-0 Tampa, dominated. Like, just they leaned on the Penguins. They were the big brothers. They were pushing the team around. The second period comes along, and just as much as I want to give the Penguins credit to battling back in this game, they tied it up, so it was 2-2 after 2. It was just a different Lightning team. And I talked to some people in Tampa. This has been the story of this team, right? They show these glimpses of, oh, okay, this is who they are. This is that team that has had this success they've had in recent years. And then it just, from one period to the next, just disappears. So I think that's the biggest thing, and the frustrating thing is trying to. It's almost better to see a team that we're not there yet. We have to get up at a higher level, but to show that you can be that and you are that, and then just not have it for the next period is something frustrating. But they've had some really good games, and their star power will come through in a big way, and that's so important to that team. And then they've had some disgusting games too, right? And so we'll see how they look tomorrow night. But it's a little Jekyll and Hyde right now in Tampa.
All right, last question for me, Kip. I just got to ask, do you have any news on Shohei Ohtani and if he's signing in Toronto or not?
No news. Hey, you know what? I've been on the road here. I'm not at MLB Network, who owns NHL Network, and we always see some guys in the back hall get the inside scoop. But if I hear,
send some
you guys
text.
know.
Yeah.
I will. Well, I'll be the newsbreaker. I'll be the newsbreaker on baseball. We'll try that.
For those of you that aren't watching the show, we have Rupper on Zoom, and he's got the dark framed glasses. He's got the beard. He's got a hat on, and I think you look more like you're ready for a stakeout than going to the beach in Tampa. Maybe we send you somewhere to find Shohei and just wait for him.
I'll take that secret mission. I'll take that. It's funny. Yeah, I have that. I got a couple of guys that, I see them, and when I wear these dark frame glasses and the hat, they're like, what the hell are you hiding from right now?
Rupper, great stuff, man. Really appreciate you making time. We know how busy you are on the NHL Network. You do a terrific job, and welcome here anytime. Thanks for doing this, pal.
Thanks, fellas. Anytime. Would love to be on again.
Thanks, Rupper. Appreciate it.
That's Mike Rupp, Stanley Cup champion.
So no Ohtani news from anything.
No, nothing
Really
yet.
good stuff in the Metro Division, but not what we were looking for.
No, not at all.
Anything, Sammy?
What?
Anything?
No. This Dave Roberts thing, you guys are discrediting it.
Yeah.
But I think it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they made very clear, boys, that they didn't want leaks.
Oh yeah.
And
Imagine
they
making
broke
a
the
10-year
rule.
life global decision
I am-
based on.
If
I
he
am
was
going to
if he-
Toronto based on that.
If he was 50-50 and he gave very explicit rules to not leak, and one team that he was thinking about went to leaked, and the other one were good boys and said nothing, and he was 50-50 anyways, flying to check out their facilities.
You,
If
my
he's
friend,
making-
are just desperate.
If he's making a $500 million decision based on if Dave Roberts, who might get fired next week, said something or not, he's not really thinking this through.
And he said, what did he say? I think the meeting went really well.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. State secrets there, pal.
I'm
Well,
looking
listen, I
at
hope
I'm,
you tip the scales,
I'm
buddy.
looking at a picture of Brandon Gomes, who is the general manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers.
He's distraught,
He looks pissed off.
not happy. I saw what you're seeing.
Have you ever seen a bigger sourpuss? He looks
doesn't
so
look like
upset.
he just landed
Let's see
the
it.
best
Turn
free
it around.
agent in
Well, I
baseball
mean,
history.
you can't see. You got your glasses over there?
Oh, yeah, I'm good.
GM doing
Oh,
his
yeah.
interview.
Yeah, he looks
We
mad.
got one frame of angry.
You're not going to see it. Yeah, great photo there.
Yeah, really. Well, boy, we nailed
Check
it.
the tabs here.
I was going to say.
We're good.
Somebody from the 10th floor right now is going to send somebody down and say, get those hockey guys to stop talking
Yeah.
about
Hockey show.
Shohei.
No, they're going to be like,
We
we
will
love
lose
it.
him.
We love
We
him.
will lose him if they start listening to our show.
If it drops while we're on the air, I'm going to the Jays website to buy tickets. So,
You know my example of how you could just tweet anything and
No.
it'll go crazy?
Sure.
Vernon Wells
I know.
Blue
I
Jays
saw,
legend.
Yeah.
Yes.
just tweeted, ... explosion.
Well, the tweet before that, he said, if I had Ohtani news, should I tweet it or something? Then he tweeted that.
A man who played for both the Angels and the Jays. So maybe he knows somebody at the Angels who knows something. I don't know.
You know what he should do? Either say something or not say that. That's
But
what
that's
he
what I
should
mean.
do.
I'm gonna
Useless.
I'm going for an eyeball emoji Japan
See,
flag. I'm doing it.
That's a guy. That's a guy that I think could know something.
he knows
100%.
Yes.
But then
yeah, I
just
take that at face value as.
know it or share it. Don't be the, hey, I know it guy.
Yeah, you're
I've
right.
got a
You're right.
secret.
If he ends up coming or not coming, people
Yeah.
are going to say you hung us out to dry with that one.
Yeah.
You got to follow it up.
It's game time.
Ooh.
Presented by Bet365.
What
Whoa.
do you think? We got a baseball question in
I
there?
think there might be one.
Visit the app for the latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Kipper, don't put me in a box like that. But
A batter's box.
just checking in on the odds.
Mhm.
Dodgers are minus 175, and the Blue Jays are plus 150.
Ooh.
So not
Dodgers
That's
still
moved in
the
right
team to
direction
beat.
A lot. It was
Yeah.
plus 300, and then
Yeah.
yesterday was plus 250, I think.
So I think it's pretty easy for other people if you're being like, hey, I'm going to send a fake tweet about somebody signing somewhere. Choosing the Dodgers may make you look pretty smart. So
Yeah.
just putting that out there. So I just wanted to mention that. And looking at tonight's slate, I wouldn't say there's a ton of excellent games. I guess the Hughes Bowl, which we'll get into in news and notes a little later on, would say I like the Canucks at minus 115. I think they've been playing well. I hate the Devils goaltending this year. And the Canucks have a lot of excellent shooters. And if you wanted to get a little bit more value, you could even go to minus goal and a half with plus 210
Yeah.
for the Canucks. And the other one, should the New York Islanders be favored minus 310 against anyone?
No. The answer
And
is
the San Jose Sharks are
Is
visiting
their
there
power
tonight.
play actually
functioning.
really decent.
Yeah, but it's like Rupp was saying. Like, I've watched some of the goals go in, and it's like, they ebbs and flows. I don't think it's been hyper efficient. It's just going in the net a bit for them.
So I'm
Hockey gods.
taking a shot with the Sharks tonight. Plus 250, been playing better.
Gross.
Taking a shot with the Sharks over your
Ottawa
Isles.
versus the Rangers at home. I like Ottawa.
You
And then
do?
I do. And then
Plus 120.
there's another underdog tonight that I like. Buffalo, Detroit.
Yeah, Buffalo is plus 110.
Buffalo has beat Detroit the last 4 games they've played them.
Tage Thompson returns this evening.
Thompson back. Dahlin's in. Plus 110 at home. Just
Okay.
saying. Not
Like
saying,
it.
Just saying.
Like it. All right. That was Game Time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
All right, let's take a quick break here. And when we come back, injury bug bites a few hockey clubs, including the Coyotes, the Calgary Flames, and the Ottawa Senators.
Is Shabbat? Is that?
I got some Shabbat news.
Oh, okay. I look forward to this.
I look forward to that Shabbat a lot. No.
Just stick to baseball, okay? On our show. Real Kyper and Bourne back after these words. The Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, our baseball insider here on the Real Kyper and Bourne show.
It's been fun. For one day.
Eyeball emoji.
As we mentioned earlier, Arizona Coyotes with a full clinic on the Washington Capitals last night.
Yeah.
Your buddy Sean Dursey, though, went down early in the first period, only played about 5-6 minutes on a hit from Tom Wilson. I think he might be out a while.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's not great.
Tom Wilson's never done that to anybody.
I feel like I rushed this when we were talking to Rupper before. So the Coyotes' 5-game winning streak has taken out the last 6 Stanley Cup champions. St. Louis, Vegas, Tampa Bay and Tampa Bay, Colorado, St. Louis, now Washington. That is unbelievable.
It's unbelievable that the stars would
schedule.
line up like that.
Yeah.
The statistical probability of that is hard to wrap your mind around.
I wonder if any other team in the league has the opportunity to do that this
It's
year.
very weird. And to sort of have all those games and then to win all those games
Yeah.
is quite amazing.
And then before that, they played the Kings, who won a couple in the last decade, and they played the Bruins and the Penguins coming up 2 of their next 4. So
Wow.
not in a row here, but
Too bad they didn't market that earlier so they could
Maybe they would have sold out
sell
Mullet.
more tickets in their 3,000-seat arena.
I read an attendance
Or is it
article today.
4,000?
It's 4,300, and I read an attendance article there today that says they've sold out all 11 home games this season. So just want to give them a good job to Arizona.
Well
Doing
done,
great,
guys.
guys. Thanks for chipping in to the HRR.
So did I see something about them new plot of
I
land?
don't know.
Did you?
You know
thought
what's
I
so
did.
funny, too?
Lot of
I
land
did.
there.
Just before we went on
Yeah,
air,
lots.
I'm like any Seattle news. You go, you're like, what Seattle news? What do you want to know about the Kraken? And I'm like, okay, Board of Governors meetings are in Seattle, are they not?
Oh, yeah. But so I was going to, because Gary spoke, and I was going to pull the audio. It finished as we were on air, but I was going to, but I wanted to listen to Oatesy, so I didn't grab the audio. Oatsy's too good to miss, boys.
Once upon a time, those meetings used to be really important.
Yeah.
The Board
Yeah.
of Governors.
Not anymore?
Wow.
Did you get to go to those?
What news? Like they're
I'll give you
talking
the
about
news. The cap's
expansion.
going up.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so
we knew
expansion-
that. We knew it was going to go to 88.
We did?
No,
Yes.
I don't remember it being that high.
No,
No, that was not
next
the
year.
talked about.
$5 million was going up. $5 million.
We agreed on
That's
4,
been out
I
there.
thought. I thought it was 4.
Yeah, it was never going up 5.
Kipper,
Oh
we
my
thought,
God, we're like 4 is not a story, but 5 is.
Massive.
We do not agree.
Is that Canadian or American?
Yeah, I don't know. With exchange. Yeah, I mean, I that's a lot of money. 5.2 million, I think, is the estimated
So,
bump.
like if you're Toronto, only Willie will
You
benefit from it.
Well, yeah, give Willie 5 million. Yeah, you are actually.
Yeah,
Guess you lose some
one
other guys,
guy's
too.
getting it,
Yeah.
and then everyone else is scrambling around.
Well, it does mean something, though. You don't have to get rid of anyone. You can keep your good players.
Okay.
This has been the whole problem with the salary cap, has been watching Tampa Bay draft and develop Verhaeghe and Gord and all these great young players, and they don't get to keep them. It's not fair. at least
Any
these teams
other
can keep
news?
players
Like,
now.
okay, you mentioned a new rink. Like, we haven't heard that one before.
yeah, they are really desperate, I guess, to keep him there. And I don't know if
I heard
now that they're
north
getting
of
good.
Scottsdale, there might be a chunk of land. That's the latest.
North of Scottsdale?
Yeah,
That's not
but in that
Just put it in
either.
Put it in
vicinity.
Old Town Scottsdale.
No, that would be
Yeah,
a
we're
good spot.
talking. Oh,
that
yeah.
would be a great spot.
It is. It's, yeah.
Old Town Scottsdale's a good spot.
Old Town Scottsdale is a wonderful time. It is better than Glendale, confirmed.
Yeah, I've never been to Glendale. But
Okay, and people want to talk about expansion. Like,
Yeah.
really? Another team?
I have to watch Seattle play, and it's not very fun. You know, I
At
think
some
there's-
point, I got a chance again to get back in the league if they keep
So
expanding.
how many teams?
Haven't we stretched it out enough?
Yeah, is the answer.
I heard on Bunkus's podcast when I heard Zaravelli talking about how like it's it injects some money into the league, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it's
No,
like
in the owners.
and the
not the
owners.
league.
Wow, yeah, I guess the owners, but like
And they get to keep it all.
yeah, but
Nothing to do with the players.
it's just if that's the only way to grow it, is by just like, let's get new teams to get more money. It's stupid.
Yeah. It's
Maybe
not gonna
have
work.
one international competition in 10 years. Maybe that would help.
That would help a little bit for sure. So yeah, we're all
yeah.
expanded out.
And I saw that Gary was already laying the groundwork for not having them at the Olympics in 2026. You see what he was talking about how it's like, the arena in Italy's not quite. He's already.
It's not Milan. Is it Milan?
Yeah, Milan.
The
catwalks in Milan.
Milan.
Yes.
They're not. Their rink for the Olympics is not ready till 6 weeks before the Olympics. And from what I understand about building projects, that's not a great buffer. You know, like they run out of a certain type of screw at one point. The whole Olympics is derailed.
And Gary's already like, oh yeah, baby.
Yeah,
I got a reason.
I can say they're allowed to go and pull it back.
I got a reason.
Buddy.
Can't wait.
Outside of that, anything else out of there?
I didn't see much.
Kraken keep losing.
So keep expanding so you can have more teams like the Kraken.
Kraken could have helped themselves by
Jacob Markstrom listed week to week with a fractured finger, but all indications it's not as bad as it seems. I don't know what that means.
Okay.
No, I don't know, like 4 weeks.
Okay. I mean, he's kind of been middling for them anyway. You know, that would be nice for him to get back and play like the guy they are paying him to be. But
all right, and
so here's the thing: having their goalie out long term. If he he's pretty key to their success, and if Vladar's a capable backup or whatever, I'm sure Dustin Wolf
he needs a good run.
Wolf will get some starts now too in that stretch of games. Like,
it's not a bad thing to see.
No, of course not. But if they start to struggle, it's like you get kind of closer and closer to the Tanev situation here, and it's like I think Craig Conroy jumped the gun. I think. On Zadorov?
On Zadorov. I think that value could have gone up if he held on to him longer. I think he could have squeezed a desperate team, possibly of a second rounder.
Look at the deadline deals. David Savard, 2 second rounders. Like some of the names that go for value
prone
at that
to mistakes.
time.
All right, who isn't prone to mistakes?
It's
and he's
fast
6'5", 6'6", and he's mobile and he can play 15, 17 minutes. Can you find any more in the league like that?
But, Kip, do you want to hang on to a guy who doesn't want to be on your team?
That was the factor.
Yeah.
You're right. Getting him out of the room was of high value to them, but that's not the case with Tanev or anyone else.
But it does feel like if you're a team like the Leafs or the Oilers or whatever, you couldn't outbid a third in 2026 and a fifth?
You know, there's so many teams that think they're still in it, right? You look at the standings.
Well, because there are.
That's what I mean. And it's so hard to find sellers and legit sellers.
That's a great point.
And to Kipper's point, that should have added to his value. Because how many guys available have the upside of Zadorov when you look at the standings? Like, it's like, is there anyone like him on the Blackhawks or the Sharks or who's like Columbus? Like, who's out of it that's willing to like sell?
There's
the Habs, I guess. But
there's an article in The Athletic today that is 6 potential trade destinations for Sean Walker. And it's like,
Sean Walker, I couldn't give you one Sean Walker.
He could walk in here right now, and I would know.
He could walk her in right now.
That's how rare. You know, that's how tough it is to find a D-man this time of year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree the value is low. Speaking of, the Oilers have Broberg up for grabs. Philip Broberg.
Is that another one of we're out of ideas? Can you go out and make your own deal?
Yeah, they told him he's allowed to talk to other teams.
Yes.
Which is funny.
So he's a 22-year-old, 6'4", 215-pound guy who was drafted 8th overall, and they're just like, no good, can't play.
It is funny
because I mean I don't think he's been very good at all to start his career, clearly, but like
quite not good in fact.
Seems a little early, no, to give up on him.
This is
Columbus,
again
I'd be like,
when you're not dealing from a strength. So Ken Holland calls up, says, "I got Broberg."
Yeah.
You know what the first question is?
What's wrong with him?
Why?
Why don't you want him?
Yeah, 100%.
And then you got to answer it.
That's so true, right? It's like you're not out pursuing something to add. That's what we want on our team. We're pursuing it. This is what we don't want on our team. Would you like it?
I talked to a couple of different teams. There's only one thing they are interested in that's legitimate on the Edmonton Oilers, and that's their first round pick.
Whoa, they
Yeah.
feel like the Oilers have chance to be a bad finishing team. I see.
I mean, they
They
are
want- they- if we're gonna
third last
if
in the
we're gonna
West.
if we're gonna give you
That's
something,
not real.
if we're gonna give you something that's gonna help you and help you alleviate the cap, you got to work your first rounder in. That's
insanity to me.
they are third last in the West. By the way.
I know. It's not real.
I mentioned earlier Thomas Chabot. Man, when it rains, it pours. This guy was sidelined earlier with a hand injury, and now out. He fell into the boards against Seattle.
Yeah.
Tried to return, but didn't. And now I hear it's a good chance we won't see him till the new year.
No way. Another month or so? That's tough, man, for a team that's trying to dig out of a hole like Ottawa. They are currently not last in their division. They're last in the conference. They haven't played games. We've talked about that. They're not last in the conference by points percentage, but they have a lot of climbing to do, and Chabot plays 26 minutes a night for them. That's a massive loss at a time they're trying to turn it around.
Like, not to get on my Leaf fan soapbox here, but I've had to hear a lot over the past couple summers about how much better the Sens core is than the Leafs and how the Sens are coming. And it's like, well, could they do it? Could they do it one of these times and not be, if you pull those standings up again, be literally last place? I know they haven't played any games, but like they're still under 500 to this point.
Yeah.
It's like at some point, you got to be like, yeah, they got a good core, they got good players, but I guess they're still young, but they're signing Korpisalo to maybe like expedite things. I don't know. I'm
not going to say the which core would you rather have conversation wasn't had this summer.
Oh my God, it was had all the
crew.
time.
Yeah.
Like who's got a better forward core? It's like, I think the Leafs,
The team,
unfortunately, for the national audience. Sorry, but it's true.
Fair.
A text from Joey Kenward. Kenward's Corner.
Yeah.
Canucks Quinn Hughes gets to play against brothers Jack and Luke tonight.
Mhm.
When was the last time this scenario of brothers went head to head?
Those three guys?
I have the answer if you want.
Oh, you know?
No, I don't know the answer. Is there a stall game or something?
No.
There's not? I got the Sutters.
Yes. Name them.
I'm looking for tweets here.
Don't cheat.
Okay. I believe it's my dad played on a line with Dwayne and Brent.
So far, so good.
So, I don't know, Rich and Ron.
I'll pick one.
Well, isn't it all four of them?
No, three.
No.
No,
Three.
all four played in
Three.
the game.
All four
Okay.
played in the game?
I
think so.
only
Rich and Ron.
on this tweet. It only has one Sutter.
We got this.
One
October 30th, 1983. Rich and Ron played against Dwayne and Brent.
What
Or-
date? What date?
October 30th, 1983.
Okay, Joey's got February 4th, 1987 at Pacific Coliseum. Rich Sutter against Brent and Dwayne.
I also have someone trying to find where
It's electric radio.
I
boys.
know.
Let's argue over the Sutter.
I know. I think there's 5 involved, or there was 6 Sutters involved once, but there was some coaching involved apparently.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah,
That makes
anyway.
sense. That's awesome, though. Imagine going to that game, your 3 of your boys playing in the NHL. It's incredible. And not like
Yeah.
bit guys.
No.
3 incredibly
Massive
good
stars
players. Yes.
in those cases.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we had the conversation earlier. I just want to mention how many pairs of brothers do you think exist in the NHL currently?
Well, I know this already, but I only went to a handful.
Yeah, you would guess a
And
handful.
you told me like 4 times a
There's
handful.
20. There's 20 sets of brothers in the National Hockey League
I
right
struggled
now.
with this bad.
I mean, I'm not going to go through the list, but it's a lot of sneaky
It's
ones.
just, there's
There's the Kachucks that everyone thinks of, and
with a commercial.
the Hughes and all those obvious ones. But there's 2 Van Riemsdykes.
Yeah.
There's 2 Nylanders. Alex is in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
A couple of Smiths, right? We're pretty sure about that. A couple of
Riley-
McLeods.
Riley and his brother Brendan.
Are we sure about that?
Nope.
No, we're
Definitely
not.
not.
But we think we're sure.
I'm pretty sure. Oh, well, it is a pretty unique last name, boys. So I don't know.
It's a couple Smiths. Just trust us on that. There's 20.
According to my sources.
Yeah, there's 20
that's-
sets of
it's not
brothers.
fair.
In the
It's not
NHL.
exactly.
It's not fair
His
being a
last name
Smith.
isn't Ohtani. It's like
No.
it's Smith.
Well, there's an article in the AP. What? Oh, God. Anyway.
Okay, last night, Victor Hedman played his 1,000th game,
Yes.
in which Vasilevsky had a shutout, a 4-0 win over Dallas.
yeah.
Of all the audio we didn't get,
For our first national Kippers
Oh, do
Clipper,
we have this? Oh, yeah.
let's go to Vasilevsky
did get it.
talking about the difference between losing and winning for Tampa Bay.
What's gone through your mind in the last 48 hours from the end of the game on Saturday to the start of this one?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it wasn't great feeling last game, but what was the question?
I think you got sidetracked a little bit there.
Our show's hit a new low.
Okay.
Was it Vassy?
No, it was not. It was
my
somebody
God.
else. But you
Is
got
it media?
you got to give
Sorry.
you got to give a ton of credit to the fart. It doesn't matter whatever generation.
Number one funniest thing.
It doesn't
question.
disappoint.
Never, it always hits.
Never lets you
I will
down.
say I have a renewed appreciation for it with a 7-year-old boy. I appreciate how that it is the original joke that people really that you latch onto as a child.
According to my sources, aka Futes, Brandon and Riley Smith are bros.
Yes.
All right, we got one.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Finally, I
Check
guessed
it off the
something
list.
right on this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that is such a great clip. Can we just have that fart one more time, Derek?
Oh well, that needs to play after we find the tweet comes out. Ohtani has signed with the Dodgers. We're just gonna play that on loop.
That'll be our show tomorrow. Just us all, like, just the fart sound.
Oh man.
Oh my
What else we got? Tage Thompson.
Yeah, he's coming back tonight for the Sabres. They're not out of it. You know, the standings, that's the thing with all these, borderline crappy teams. They're still right in it. Like, they're 22 points. The last playoff spot right now is how many points? Just put in front of me here.
And they've been underachieving.
Yeah, like the last playoff spot is the Lightning at 27 points, and they're at 22. So they're far from out of it, but they got to get going. And it'd be nice. They're another team like the Sens where we've heard for how many summers that they're going to take this next step. They're going to take the leap. And it's like,
Exactly.
now is the time for them to kind of
Yep.
take that leap.
I wonder how
We'll see.
how hard they pushed on Pat Kane.
To get, I think if they were 13 instead and 10 instead of 10 and 13, that'd have been a much easier sell.
And he's getting ready tomorrow night.
We'll
or-
get him back.
Thursday night.
Thursday night, he think he's making
Sorry.
his debut.
Just
So-
Friday's
feels-
gonna be a great show. We get a Leafs game and we get
Oh, yeah.
Kane
You
involved.
mean when we get to watch the Leafs play hockey?
Get some hockey.
Yeah.
Also, we should mention that I mentioned, like, is John Cooper in trouble? They lose 8-1, and then this same team goes out and just thumps up and shuts down the Dallas Stars for Cobb.
I would
Thanks
hope.
for coming out.
I would hope. They got embarrassed by that team. Their goalie was refusing to come out of the net. They're playing in the 1,000th game for their captain, who's like one of their legends. I would hope they win that game.
Yeah.
I'm not going to crown them too hard after that one.
Okay.
That's one you need to have.
It's just strange that we can't read them.
No, they're
You're
unpredictable.
gonna
Minus 6 goal
you're gonna
differential.
followed hockey for 50 years, and you just don't know what Tampa Bay team will show up on any given night.
Yeah. Well, it just, it's what we talked about with Rupper, that none of these teams are that great. Everyone's got a shot. I'm sure they'll go all in at the deadline again and end up with Ryan McDonough and Tanev and all of a sudden be unbeatable. Can't score on them.
Yeah, and then they'll sign them to contract extensions for $10 each because the state tax. It'll be fine.
All right.
They're playing with different rules down there.
Our
boys.
thanks to Luke Fox from Sportsnet.ca, Mike Rupp in this last hour, and Hall of Famer Adam Oates. We
And Shohei Ohtani for the Qs today.
really hope that you had a gas on this show today.
Jeez.
Compliments. Vasilevsky and the Tampa Bay Lightning. All right. We're back again to do it all over again tomorrow. Enjoy it.